Okay, well, I want to tell everyone today, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join Tulio and I. We know that your time is valuable and we're honored that you're choosing to spend time with us today. So for those of you who don't know Tulio, Tulio is a mega agent here in Colorado Springs. He's also a personal friend of mine, and we've worked together now for what, close to 5 years, Tulio, on a coaching relationship. I've seen Tulio go from selling 70 houses by himself with his hair on fire to growing a team to adding a director of operations who's so graciously joining us today. Jessica is on the call with us. And now they're continuing to grow. Can I spill a little secret? He's crossing another threshold in his real estate career as we talk about growing and starting to delegate more of our buyers and sellers. He's now working on bringing in some listing specialists to his team. So it's an honor to have Tulio with us today. I'll say one of the things that Tulio is famous for is his scripting. And if you guys haven't heard Tulio speak before, it sounds like this soothing radio voice that you hear, and it just seduces his clients into working with him. So he's going to be talking to us today a little bit about how he works with buyers, some of the scripts that he's working with, and this is a true mastermind. So if you've got something that you're like, I really want to know, how do I get more referrals? How do I call my database and talk to my clients so that they send me more business? Tulio's got a script for everything. And he also runs a Facebook group called The Word Wizard. So we'll make sure that we include that in our recording notes so that you guys can all get access to that. And without further ado, I'm really excited to bring my friend Tulio to the show today. So thanks, Tulio, for joining us.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thanks for having me. I appreciate this. And everyone that has joined us, I know that sometimes you're doing stuff like driving and stuff like that. If you have the ability to come on camera, because I'd like to get to know you better as well. Okay. And you can probably see my background has my name, my phone number, my email, everything on that. I would like to get to know you. And if we can exchange referrals in the future, wherever we are in the country, program me in your phone and send me a text. All right. I will respond back to your text, and I'd like to be a referral partner of yours. So please go ahead and do that. And if you have the ability to come on camera, that'd be wonderful as well. If you can't, I completely understand.
You know what, Tulio, for you, I'm going to get on camera, but just FYI, I have 2 pigtails in my head right now, okay? So I promise I don't look like this every day.
I love it. I love it. I want to see you, Sharika. And that's
There
how you look beautiful. You look beautiful.
Gorgeous. Stop it. She always looks so good.
Tulio, do you recognize what's behind her?
I have on my wall over here, hustle, grind, execution. And you have them exactly in the same order that I have them in my office, Sharika. Isn't that funny? We have more in common than we thought. All right. Very good. And let me see here. Christopher, good to meet you as well. Thank you for coming on camera.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, guys.
Hey, Christopher, good to see you.
Yeah. What we're going to chat about today is about what we're going to be facing here. We already are facing in 2024. We got a lot of changes coming our way. For some people, it's shaking them up a little bit. For others, it's not a tremendous amount of paperwork change that, depending on the state that you're in. Here in Colorado, we've had buyer agency documentation forever. Okay, there's just some boxes that we have to check that are a little bit different than we used to have to check. We have a large military population here in Colorado Springs, so it can be a little bit more challenging in that regard, as far as compensation goes. Asking buyers who are military to have to compensate you when their lender says they can't is another challenge in itself. We all have our challenges depending on where we are. Okay. And I've got notes that Lindsay's going to forward to you. I want to share with you how I came up with these notes. This is not like super clean, organized notes. This is Tulio taking notes as I've been in different situations over the last couple of months. Okay. Just at conferences, in small mastermind groups, on phone calls with people I respect. listening to podcasts and go, ooh, that's good. I'm documenting that. And if you know me and know me well, like Jessica does and Lindsay does, I have over 1,500 notes in my phone. Almost anything that matters to me that I want to come back to, I make a note on, and I continue to add to it and add to it and add to it. And when a topic comes up, I can open up my phone and go, boom, and start to control. I can almost give a presentation on any topic in the area of real estate because of the notes I have in my phone. Okay. And when you have those type of notes, and then you have an opportunity present to you, like something happened at a family reunion. I was able to, and it wasn't that I just wanted to stand up and talk. I had good notes to share in a mastermind group because I stored them in my phone. This past week, I was at the Elevate conference in Indianapolis from Pivot Shift community, and I had a topic that I could stand up in front of a group, and I got 60 people to listen to me and leave with very tactical information because of the notes that I store in my phone. And that's what I did for today, okay? And I literally, 10 minutes before this meeting, downloaded them, cleaned them up, and sent them to Lindsay. So y'all are going to get those in your inbox. And this is like Tulio's stream of conscience, and not just Tulio's thoughts. Other people I really respect, that I put them together. And I think when you review them, you'll be able to start using these thoughts in your conversations, okay? And not just in your conversations, in my opinion, more importantly, in your actions, because your actions are what really matter in the end, okay? So the first thing that I have at the top of these notes is just a phrase, and it's value always wins. All right. And we're going to talk about value and building our value propositions. For this topic is mostly about buyers today, but it can be done for sellers. And I've included my value propositions, which I call 12 things I do differently for buyers and 12 things I do differently for sellers. And I'd like each one of you to build out your 12 things. Okay. So that when people ask you, why should I hire you? What's different about you than everyone else? You have an answer, and your answer is not the same as everyone else's. Okay. And I want it to live in your phone. I want it to live in your brain, but I want it to live in your phone because that's your other brain. And what's with you all the time? Your phone. Feel free to answer out loud if you want to, Sharika. Okay. I know Sharika will. So.
And for those of us just joining us, we'd love to see your faces. Come on camera and join us.
So we're going to see a lot of changes take place over the next several months. And what's going on right now, the way we're doing business right now, maybe quite a bit different after July. And after we figure what things are going to look like after July. And it might not change much at all. We don't really know. But by getting prepared, it's going to make us better regardless, right? So if we get prepped, and today you leave with knowing your 12 things that you do differently, and you can voice that to your clients, you're going to feel better about the time you spent here today. And you make that same list for sellers, you're going to go, all right. You might feel a little bit closer to being 10 foot tall and bulletproof when you deal with these situations. And that's the way I want you to feel when you leave a Tulio presentation or a Tulio talk. I want you to go, man, I feel 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. And Lindsay, did you receive my notes?
I did. Do you want me to pull them up on screen?
No, not really, but I just want you to forward them to everybody so they have them. All right.
Of course.
Okay. So in my notes, there's a portion of this that says that, and I got this from a podcast I listened to, and it's what I understood to be, buyers don't really understand what we do, nor do they understand how we get compensated in the past. Okay. And the media is telling them that now, they can find their own houses. They can jump on realtor.com. They can jump on homes.com. They can go to Zillow. They can find their own homes. So what are these realtors really worth? The media is painting the picture for these buyers of what our worth is. And they're painting it as though finding the house is our value. Okay. So what I feel we need to be doing in our engagements with our clients is educating our clients about what the truth is. Finding houses and opening doors is what the media is telling them we're doing. And it's often what they think we're doing. Have you ever had a client say, well, I found my own house? Like that's all you do is just find them the house?
Raise your hand. Who's your,
Yeah.
who's your,
I've been there.
me too.
Have you ever had a client say, oh, well, maybe you should give me part of your commission because I found the house? Like that's all you do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's where we need to educate our clients about what we truly do. So they understand that it's not just being overpaid door openers and that we set up an MLS search that just went their way. And that's our value, setting up searches for them on the MLS and opening doors, because that's not true. We know, but they don't really know. Okay. So that's going to be something we're going to focus on today. All right. Something else I want to focus on that will tie into this is, I don't know if you guys know of the entity called a 1000 Watt. 1000 Watt is a marketing entity in the area of real estate. And they did some research to find out what buyers' biggest concerns are. And what do you think buyers' biggest concerns are right now? Eli, what do you think a buyer's biggest concern in today's market is?
Man, I don't know.
Anybody?
I say interest rates. I hear that a lot.
Okay.
Elections,
Okay.
you
Anyone
know,
else?
uncertainty with regard to what's going to happen. Am I going to keep my job after the elections? Is the market going to go down? What's happening with the war in other parts of the world? Is that going to affect the gas prices and oil and all that stuff?
Okay. So the answer that they got, the biggest answer they got was, this is a big, scary thing, the purchase of a home, and I don't want to screw it up. That was the answer that they got. Fear in making a bad decision. So what does that tell us we have to do? Help alleviate their fears. Okay. So I want to detail, and I want you to take notes. Other thing, if you know Tulio, take notes. Tulio takes a lot of notes. In the home buying process, what are things that cause people fear? Daniel, what's something that when you bought your first home, you were fearful of, or your parents put fear into your mind?
I was there were going to be too many things or issues within the inspection.
Okay, yeah. Inspection issues. Okay, anyone else? Give me another one. What's things that cause fear?
Fear of overpaying.
Overpaying. Who else has something?
Is this a good school district for my kiddos?
Schools.
Mhm.
These are things we hear about all the time. About, I
I'm
don't
re-
want to buy a money pit. I don't want to have a problem. I don't want to be upside down when I have to sell my house. What are things that they don't even know about? Buyers don't even know about, that you know as a real estate professional, but they don't always think about? Sharika.
Negotiations.
Okay.
That we do negotiations for them.
Okay. I like that. And it's true. But when you say that word, when you just say, I do negotiations, do you think that causes fear to them though? I'm not picking on you.
Yes, I have one right now who's nervous.
Okay. And sometimes what I'm looking for are things that sometimes are so simple that we overlook them. How about hail damage to a roof? Do you want to buy a house with hail damage to the roof and then own a $7,000 to $17,000 problem as a buyer?
How about structural issues? Tulio knows my personal house saga about how we bought a house and we literally had to install a sump pump. I didn't know that was a thing. And it was a $30,000 thing I had to install. I really wished we would have known about that before we bought the house.
So I'm going to help you with a short list here of things. And if we know that these buyers' biggest fear is screwing up on their purchase, and we can teach them how we're going to come to the table and prevent them from their biggest fear, is that bringing value? Roofs, hail damage, wind damage, the type of insurance you need, depending on where you live in the country, foundations, termite inspections for those of you who live in the right places that have that, or the wrong places that have that. Flood plains. Have you ever been under contract on a house and your clients love the house and the listing agent didn't state that it was in a floodplain because they were clueless and it was their first year in the business? And then you researched it, or your insurance agent said, oh, they're going to have to pay $200 more per month because they're in a floodplain. And you're like, holy crap, I didn't know that. Now I got to call the other agent and tell them that. And I got to tell my client as well. And they very well might not be able to afford the house anymore. What if you educated your buyers that you're going to research the homes that they like and make sure that they're not looking in a floodplain before you go? Landslide areas. There's parts of Colorado that are landslide areas. How about a north-facing house where it snows with a steep driveway and the clients are elderly, or they have elderly parents that want to come and take care of their grandkids regularly, and you don't want a broken hip on your property because that shadow that's casted through the winter doesn't allow the snow to melt, and your driveway is an ice skating rink. But you're buying in August and your clients are from Alabama and they've never been through a snow before. But you took the time to share with them what happens here in Colorado or in wherever you're at. These are things that show that you care, that you're looking out for your people. It's eliminating fears for them. Noise, airplanes, train tracks, big rigs that fly by, stuff that's loud. Do any of you shop from a distance for your clients? Do any of you go and film homes for your clients and then upload them to private unlisted links on YouTube and send them the link? And then call them and tell them what you saw, you heard, you smelt, you felt, everything at the house? Those are the type of things that show you care. You just send them the video and you let them interpret it for themselves. You only did half the job. But when you call them and go, hey, this house was beautiful, it was great in this way, but I don't know if you could tell, but there's some pretty big power lines that are only about 50 yards behind the house. I don't know if that bothers you, but it could be a challenge to sell in the future. But you can't really tell it by the video. The neighbor's dog doesn't shut the hell up. But the house across the street has dandelions up to my knees. And if a neighbor who doesn't take care of their yard bothers you, there's one neighbor on the street that is that person. Okay? Those are the things that when you do those things, it shows you care.
Eli, do you have a question?
You're muted, Eli.
I do have a question. Is it okay to ask a question?
Absolutely.
Okay, Tulio, back to your video filming and uploading it to YouTube as an unlisted video, sending it to the client. And doing the video as you're filming it, are you telling them what you're seeing, what you're smelling, and so forth throughout the filming?
I often do. I talk to them directly because this is not a public video.
Mm-hmm.
It's an unlisted video you're only sending to them. And what I have found is when I speak to the people, I use their names. You get to the master bedroom big mirror in the bathroom, I say, hey guys, I talk to them directly. I ask them questions while I'm going through the video, and they answer me like they're talking to me. And they tell me they talk to me on the videos. It's pretty funny. And they share that video with their parents and their uncles and their aunts. And when they come to visit, they go, gosh, we feel like we know you because we watched the video that you made for them when they bought the house. Okay. And then there's the basics of the home inspection, making sure that your clients know that the home inspector is going to look in a very detailed manner at the electrical panel and at the age of the water heater, and to make sure that it's permitted through regional building department, and the heating system and the electrical system. Oh, this is a boiler. This is different than a forced air furnace. There's parts of the country where these are considered really desirable. Now they may be a little unsightly because they have the registers that run along the base of the floorboards. Does that bother you, or does it not bother you? I'm told that people with allergies prefer the radiant heat because it's not forcing dust through the air. Is that something that's you're open-minded to? Okay. But the fact that you care enough to teach your clients, and I'm not saying just as you do it, but during your consult, during your buyer education session, that you go through these points with your clients of what you're going to do differently with them, will separate you from the people who go, let's just go look at houses. Okay, you're showing them all the steps that you're going to go through to look out for them, to help them prevent a bad decision. And that survey that was done of 1,000 buyers right now told us their biggest concern is making a bad decision. So that's what I wanted to put a big focus on. This is, let's gain their trust, their respect, and ultimately their signature on a buyer agency by showing them what we're going to do and explaining to them what we're going to do up front. There's a bigger deal to that than what we think. And I think we get in a habit of just filling out a buyer agency agreement and emailing it to them, asking for a signature on it. And that's when you may get the, I don't know if I should sign this or not. What are you going to, especially nowadays when we are asking them to guarantee our compensation.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you need to build out your worth.
Tulio, let me ask you this question. How are you building this into your initial consult when you're talking with buyer leads?
When we, at the initial consult, it is, we have a very structured buyer consult that step by step takes them through the process of buying a home. Fortunately, the home inspection is at a very early part of the home buying process. It's not deep in it. And that's where we can explain to them. Some of this comes even before the home inspection. Okay? A lot of these things we can share with our clients during the home searching process. But I even do it during the buyer consult process. That's the very beginning. Okay, that's after you met them and you got them to your office to meet with them. But painting a really big picture and making a big deal about things that you might not think are big deals, because we do this all the time. Remember, it's not about you. It's about them. And one of their biggest fears is buying a home that's going to have problems or creating financial problems for them in the future. So if we focus on mitigating that, that's how we earn their trust, their respect, and ultimately their commitment in writing. I'm scrolling down on my notes. So I had where we stand things like floodplains, structural issues, sewer scopes, disclosure reports, pest reports, traffic patterns, school zones. Are you in a state where it's a school of choice program where you can choice into schools that aren't in your school district? We are in Colorado. Land leases. We have people who call us that want to buy a house because they see it's really inexpensive. And then we have to educate them that they don't own the land. They only own the house. That's a glorified trailer park neighborhood. Okay. You need to understand that if you're going to buy that, because it's not really real estate. Those exist here. HOA assessments, HOA lawsuits. We're going to research these things before we get deep into a contract. Those are ways to mitigate problems. Just the fact that you're aware of them and you're going to be looking out for your clients in that respect matters. All right, next topic. Building case studies. Write that down. Building case studies. This is something that I learned from a podcast I recently listened to, and I think it's a brilliant idea. And what you will do is you take situations right now that you're dealing with, okay, with current clients. How many people right now have a client, either a buyer or seller, and in this process, there's been a problem? Okay. So what we're going to do with case studies is, number one, define the problem. Number two, explain what would have happened if nothing was done. If nothing was done, then this likely would have happened to the client, or these three things could have happened, or could have happened down the road. Number three, you're going to share what you did to solve it. And number four, discuss the result. It's kind of like a scientific approach to a real estate issue. That's called a case study. If you start creating case studies out of problems that you encountered, then you have something to present. You could even design these case studies as little scientific reports. Then when you have clients, new clients, and they come up with questions, or their parents come up with questions, or their handy aunt or uncle comes up with things that are challenging to you, you have case studies. And you can say, you know what, I'm glad that you brought that up. Here's an example of exactly this type of a scenario with Janet and Jason from Omaha, Nebraska, who moved here 3 months ago. And here was the problem that they're facing. It's exactly what you're concerned about. Okay? And here's what would have happened if we didn't do anything. And here's what we did do. And this is the result. When you prepare that, when you have those prepared and you share those with your client, what do you think that's going to do? Do you think that you just gain some respect? Is that hard to do? Does it just take some time?
You could also share this on social. This could be part of your marketing strategy.
Yeah. Michael, if you did nothing, would that help you? No.
No.
But if you got into action and actually took 15 minutes, possibly at the end of after you've closed, it could be during. Maybe you're a solo agent, maybe you're on a team, maybe you have a coach, but you go back and reflect on your file, on your client, and say, what did I learn from this one? What was the problem that came up? What would have happened if I did nothing? How did I solve it? What was the final result? Okay. Build these out. Before you know it, you'll have an archive of them. That's impressive in the end. And we don't think this way. As agents, we think about buying and selling homes. And we tell our friends, you know what? We're firemen. We put out fires. That's what we do. We solve problems. We do. But do we talk about it? Do we document it? Do we advertise with it? We should. So let's start doing that. I'm starting doing this. I learned this from someone else. I don't have this built out yet. I learned this a week ago from a podcast, and I thought it was brilliant. And I said, I'm going to bring this to Lindsay's deal and share it with Lindsay's people, because I am Lindsay's people. Okay? All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Do any of you get the question from clients, is now the right time to buy? I don't know if now is the right time to buy. All right, I'm going to give you guys an answer to that one. And I feel that the best answer isn't a sly answer. It's not a crafty answer. It's not this, ooh, Jedi mind trick answer. Guess what the answer is? The truth. This isn't mind-blowing, all right? And I want you to write this down. You're going to get this in the notes that Lindsay sends to you, but I see a value in writing things out. So if they ask you the question about, is it the right time to buy? So here it is. Everyone have their pen and paper? Nod your head up and down. If you really desire to own a home, I'm going to repeat that. If you really desire to own a home and can manage to get financing, at a payment you're comfortable with, and we can achieve favorable terms from the seller, then it's the right time to buy for you. I'm going to say it again. If you really desire to own a home and can manage to get financing at a payment you're comfortable with, and we can achieve favorable terms from the seller, then it's the right time to buy for you. Do you see all the components of that sentence? In the end, you're giving them a very honest and truthful answer that is for them. But if you say, it's always a good time to buy, is that really truthful? It may not be truthful for them at that moment in time. I feel good about that answer. And our relationships are not always for right now. Our relationships may be for 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now, when is the right time for them. That's why I hope that each one of us are in a relational business and not just a transactional business. I'm in a very relational business. I wasn't always, Lindsay.
I was gonna say, speaking of, can we take like a 30-second sidebar on that for just like 1 second? So Tulio, one of the things that Tulio and I have been working on together, and we've been in a coaching relationship for close to 5 years now. And one of the things that I saw as the biggest opportunity for Tulio was building out his database marketing to a sphere of influence. So we instituted the basic 36 touch that we all know and love from our favorite friend, Gary Keller. Tulio, how many touches do you do to the database now?
30 a day.
Yeah. How many a year?
Jessica.
So our whole team, yeah. So the way Tulio went is he makes 30 contacts a day, or tries to connect with 30 people a day. But if it's rolling right, every household in our pipeline gets touched 200 times a year.
Yeah.
Every 4 days, if we're working it right.
And it's not like annoying. You know, you might be like 200 what? Holy crap, that's too much. It's calls, it's texts, it's emails, it's newsletters, it's invitations to client appreciation events. It's a multitude and a variety of ways that we reach out to our people. And that's important. Okay. It really is. That's what keeps, and I was not always good at this. When Lindsay met me, I was a mess. I did
Can I-
not have systems. Go
Can
ahead.
can I just ask one question? Out of all, and besides what will be the phone calls, out of all the other touches that you have, which is the one that is most impactful? Or
You-
which are the two besides?
Daniel, I would love to be able to say it's one thing. I really believe it's the compilation of all of it. And as much as I wish that I could, here's my magic wand, I could go, it's that. It's not that. It's all of it, Daniel. It's really the fact that if I could say the one thing would be if you just called everybody quarterly and checked in on them, you would be doing more than any other service provider in their life. Because if you asked them, Daniel, does your financial planner call you every quarter to talk to you about your investments?
No.
Does your dentist or even his assistants call you and your family to see how your teeth are doing?
No.
No. Does your insurance agent call you and ask you, how's the house doing? How's the roof doing? How's your furnace and water heater functioning?
No.
No, they don't give a crap, do they? Even when you call your insurance agent and you have a claim, what do? Oh, use that 1-800 number. Go online and file the claim. They don't even do it for you.
Got it.
The quarterly call is just the fact that you care. If you wanted one answer, Tulio, what's the one thing I can do? A quarterly call. Okay. The fact that we have many more than that in the form of newsletters, the fact that when we have a client appreciation event, you get invited 8 times.
It's 24 touches per event.
Okay.
And I don't care if they don't come. And I don't care if they say no. It's about the invitation. And when you tie those events to charitable things like food drives, can drives, backpack drives, school supply drives, they look at you as a leader in the community. And Lindsay taught me all that. Okay. Seriously. All right. Cool.
Thank you.
There was a really messy side of Tulio at one point in time, and everything was stored in my brain. I did not have systems. I was riding on Tulio's personality and charm. I swear that's what it was. It was just, and I know that God blessed me with a likability factor. I know that, but it's not reproducible.
It was your charm and Real Geeks. That's what got you here. And then we just built in the other pillars. And now talk about like what percentage of your business comes from the different pillars now that we put those in place.
We have Jessica.
We have our Real Geeks internet leads, which is about 30%. We have repeat clients is about 27 to 30%. And then the other 40% is some kind of word of mouth referral. Repeat clients, past client referrals, sphere referrals, agent to agent referrals. Somebody found out about us because somebody was talking about us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, I want to move on because the next thing we've got not that much time, and I want to leave you guys to leave with the tactical information that I said you would at the beginning. Okay. I want us to be not on the reactive or the defensive side. I want us to be on the offensive side when it comes to NAR and with buyers. Okay. And I think if you leave today with a list that will be stored in your phone. In fact, I want you to take out your phone right now, go to the notes section of your phone, open up a new note and name it 12 things I do differently. Buyers. Tell me when you've done that. 12 things I do differently. Buyers. Number 1, we talk to people. I have 30 conversations per day with buyers, sellers, investors, builders, all in an effort to generate sellers for my buyers and buyers for my sellers. We talk to people. You can substitute that for whatever numbers you want. But the fact that you talk to people matters, because guess what most people do today? They text. They don't pick up the phone. They don't call each other. They try to solve everything with Google and ChatGPT and all that stuff, which I respect and I use, but they don't pick up the damn phone. Brag on yourself for picking up the phone. Number two, we provide every client with a thorough buyer consult or a first-time home buyer educational session to ensure that our clients are knowledgeable and prepared to purchase. I like to use another word, another phrase, a buyer strategy session. Write that phrase down. Buyer strategy session. When would you use that? What if someone goes, oh, this is my 8th house? And you might, oh, well, they're not a first-time home buyer. They probably don't even need a buyer consult. They know what they're doing. Let's schedule a buyer strategy session with you, because if you need to sell that home in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you need to buy here at the same time, we need to make sure the stars align, the dominoes are in the right row, and that things are going to happen. And I'm going to make sure that you have a stellar agent in Charlotte, North Carolina as well. Okay. I'm going to make sure that I connect you with that agent that's with my company, with Keller Williams there. You're dealing with me here. We have systems that work together, and there will be continuity of care with your complete file from beginning to end. Okay, sound good? Great. Let's go ahead and schedule this. Are you good at 3 o'clock today or 10 o'clock tomorrow? Okay. You see how I even bundled getting a referral into the mix there? Door knocking. We door knock neighborhoods that are your top picks. If you're not seeing what you want, we strive to create listings that no one else knows about yet. My team does this. If you're a Facebook friend of mine, you saw that just last Thursday. Me and my team went door knocking. When we have buyers, now we don't just door knock the whole city. We make sure we know what school district they want to be in, you know, what neighborhood they want to be in, what price point they want to be in. And if they're saying, God, there just isn't inventory, we'll create it for you. We don't just sit around. We get into what, Michael?
Door knocking.
Action.
Action.
We get into action. Number 4, we have a quiet sale and off-market program. With over 1,000 past clients, friends, relationships, we gain info about homes that are coming on the market, and we share that intel with our buyers before they hit the market. We call that our quiet sale and off-market program. Other people just rely on agents who build out a search on the MLS, and they rely on other agents generating inventory for them. We create inventory for our clients. Number 5, we have a licensed roofer that will conduct a roof evaluation for you. That's a $100 value. It's completely free. His name's Nate. He's with Just Roofs and Gutters, and it's a complimentary thing that they do for you because you're our client. You probably have roofers in your where you guys are. They'll do a free roof check. Make a big deal about it. Put a dollar amount on it. Number 6, prior to making an offer for our client, we'll conduct a thorough comparative market analysis to verify that the comparables exist. We do this to minimize the likelihood of receiving an appraisal that would come in low. I don't want you to waste $800 on a house that's not going to appraise. Well, many agents do it. Yeah, many agents will do that before they write an offer, but do they talk about it? Do they make sure their client understand that you're putting that time in before you write the offer? You might go, oh yeah, I ran the comps. We should be good on value. That's what a lot of agents say. They don't make a big deal about it. Make a big deal about it. I have something I can say that not everybody can say, but because Tulio worked in the foundation repair business in my younger years. So I'd let people know that I worked for Peak Structural, that I was an estimator for them. I know what a tipping, a bowing, a heaving, all the cracking or whatever means in a foundation. Okay. And so often this compromise to a foundation manifests in diagonal cracks coming off of doors and windows, or stair stepping in bricks on houses. When you see these things, it's a telltale sign there's something wrong, or something was wrong in the past with the house's foundation. So it means we have to investigate this a little more deeply and see if they have engineers' reports. Okay? Because this may or may not be a house you want to get in bed with. All right? So now I can say that. I know not everybody can, but there's things like that that you may have some specific knowledge in your area about, that you can say, I know this because I got this certification. I took this class. I whatevered it. Okay? I brag on the fact that we stay in touch with our clients after the sale. We genuinely choose to stay a part of you and your family's lives after the purchase. You're going to be invited to 4 major client appreciation events. And at these events, we're going to ask you to bring a few canned food items for the Warriors Warehouse on Fort Carson. It's a food bank that the military, benefit from, the younger enlisted soldiers, for their families. And we have coat drives, and we have this, and you're going to be a part of that. Okay. And we're going to teach your children about the importance of giving. I hope that's okay with you. And they're like, absolutely, that sounds beautiful. Thank you for taking the lead and doing that stuff. We do that. Number 9. Sharika, you'll appreciate this one. We mastermind with over 117,000 realtors throughout North America. It's called the Pivot Shift Community. And we share best management practices, wins and failures, so that we can constantly be improving. And I do this so I'm a better agent for you. Number 10, we provide what's called an executive summary with our offers. Remember those things people used to do, love letters? They're kind of frowned upon now. So what we do nowadays is what's called an executive summary. It's the bullet points of an offer, so that when the listing agent receives our offer, which is an 18-page document, they can very quickly see who the buyers are, the loan type, the down payment, the offer, the response deadline, and what's in the additional provisions. And I include a little section at the bottom of that says that you and I, the buyer, had the no flake talk, that you're not going to flake tomorrow morning if they accept your offer, that you are sincere about buying this house. And the other side loves it when they see that Tulio had the no flake talk with you. You guys aren't going to flake, right? And they go, no, we're not flaking. We love the house. I'm like, good, because I'm putting that in writing on my executive summary that you're not going to flake. Because the sellers and their agents' biggest concern is that we're going to go under contract and tomorrow you're going to flake. You're not going to flake, right? No, we're not going to flake. All right, good. That's in my executive summary. Tulio had the no flake talk and all the other bullet points of the offer in one page. So they can see it, they can interpret it quickly. They can even forward that to their seller. And often the seller goes, that's pretty cool. He had the no flake talk. Number 11. Your agent on the Pena team will always call the other agent before submitting an offer. We're going to call them. We're going to introduce ourselves to them if we don't know them yet. We're going to share a little bit about you if you give me permission to do so verbally. We're not just going to send your offer over in an email and hope that they see it sitting there. We're going to call them in advance. We're going to ask them what's important to their seller, what's important with their timeline. Can we all work together for a win-win agreement here? And guess what? Other agents don't do that. They might just write an offer, text the other agent, and say, I just sent you an offer. Or they'll probably just text the other agent before and say, do you have any other offers at this time? They've done nothing to gain intelligence on how to craft the perfect offer to make it a win-win for both sides. And if you're in a city or state where it's competitive, it gives you the opportunity to separate yourself from the other buyer agents that you may be competing with. And the listing agent, you say, hey, you know what? I really respected Sharika. She called me. She spent time with me on the phone. She asked me what was important to you, what was important to your family. When do your kids finish school? Do they need a week after that to be able to move out comfortably? We want to make this a win-win for everyone. I thought that was so respectful. I want to work with this gal, Sharika. You see how that separates you? We might all be going, well, that's simple stuff, Tulio. Make a big deal about it, though, and tell your buyers you do it. Number 12, we investigate the property you're most interested in more deeply than other agents. We'll review regional building department's website to determine the age of the roof, the furnace, the water heater. We'll make sure the basement was permitted. We'll make sure it's not in a floodplain. We'll research the various loan types. And is this house possibly, could it possibly be assumed, the loan? Looks like the owner's currently got a VA loan on it. What if we could get their 2.75 interest rate? I'm going to ask them because the tax records say there's a VA loan, but it doesn't state in the MLS that it's assumable. I'm going to ask. What harm is there in me asking? Okay. I got one under contract 2 weeks ago that wasn't assumable, and it wasn't being advertised as an assumable. But we got it because we asked. That's 12. You can come up with your own if any of those don't fit your thoughts or needs, okay? But I want you to have your list of your 12 things you do differently built out in your phone. And when you're sitting in the line at the bank or at the grocery store or whatever, I want you to go, Tulio said I should be reviewing my 12 things. As best as you can, commit them to memory. But always have them on your phone. Much of these conversations will be over the phone. And you can open your note while you're talking to people and say, hey, can I share 12 things I do differently with you? By the time you get to number 6, they're going to be like, holy crap, this person really does do a lot of things differently. And that's where your value is in the end. Because if you don't define your value, the media will. And the media thinks we open doors and drive people around maybe and set up MLS searches. That's what the media thinks we do. I'm going to stop there.
I was going to say, Tulio, we've got 5 minutes, and I want to make sure folks have an opportunity to ask any questions that they have brewing. Real quick, raise of hands. Who thought what Tulio has shared today, tremendous value? What kind of value? I mean, yes, hands down. I told you today was going to be good. We deliver. Tulio always delivers. What questions do you guys have for Tulio? What are some of the objections or things that you guys are hearing? Aw, Becca, life-changing. Yes. What are some questions that you have for Tulio? Well, we have him for 4 more minutes. I'll call on people. Daniel.
Well, well, Tulio, thank you so much, man. It's just amazing. Thank you. I can't appreciate you enough. With that said, one, I have several questions, but one that I had is you got the Real Geeks logo back there. Are they sponsoring? Are they a sponsor? You know, do you get, or is it that just your thing?
I've been using Real Geeks as just a lead generation, internet-based provider. For those people who don't know them, they're very much like Boomtown in a way, you know. In my younger years, that was a primary source of leads. I do run a team. There's 5 agents under me who I do feed leads to. Jessica just told me it's 6 actually. I don't take any more from that at this stage in my career, but we do use them, and there's a little bit of reciprocity on pricing and stuff like that with them. And often I do present for Real Geeks University. Okay. Just wondering to see, you know, I'm always interested in seeing how people work with sponsors or vendors and all that stuff. Yeah, I'd say that using them was Tulio's boot camp for many years. Internet leads are not easy. And I've put thousands of hours into dialing thousands of internet leads. And that's how I crafted my own abilities over the phone with just years of work at it. But I respect the platform. There's a lot of people who will say negative things about internet But I think if you put the time in and you work at anything, it will pay off. So for me, internet leads have been a favorable thing, and for my team, but they are a long game, and you have to get skilled at them.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Other questions for Tulio? 2 minutes left. Come on, folks.
No questions, but definitely thank you, Tulio, for those 12 things. I am definitely doing several of them already. So that was just, it's kind of good to hear, because sometimes you question things that's like, am I doing this right? And so with you saying that, it was like, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. That's why I won literally 2 offers like within the last 2 weeks for picking up the phone and calling, and the agent told me that. So it's like, what you're saying is right on point.
So Sharika, what I want you to do is I would like you to build out your 12. Okay. I know there'll be a few in yours that are different than mine. Okay. And I want you to email me your 12. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, you're giving me homework.
I'm
Gotcha.
giving you homework. And then you have another piece of homework too. I would like you to teach this at your market center for other agents to build out their 12 things they do differently. And say, hey, we're going to do a 45-minute session on how to separate you from other buyer agents in light of what's to come in 2024 in summer. And as a leader in your market center, Sharika, I want you to teach a 12 things class, all right? And make them put it in their phone.
I got it, Tulio.
And I'm asking you to do this because I want you to pay this forward. You
Yeah.
put your time in today, and I gave this to you, and Lindsay gave this to you. And I want you to give it to others, because that's how we grow in the end. It's not always about us. It's about helping others. Okay. All right, cool.
Well, and if everybody on this call went and taught this in whatever platform, right? You could create video content from that. You could send it out to your agent to agent database. You could teach it live. You could teach it via Zoom. There's so many different ways that you could teach this, but the ripple effect that we have in the market to really stand out as an agent, whereas the media is saying, hey, you're just a glorified Uber driver. It really differentiates you between you and everyone else. So Tulio, I want to thank you so much for sharing your time and energy with us. I know everybody on this call got value. If anyone has any questions about what was shared today, we're always here to help you. You'll be getting a recording, so a link to the recording. Everything that was spoken on today will be recorded. We'll also have the notes that Tulio and his team are so graciously sharing with everyone, so we'll link to that. And if there's anything that we can do to help you on your real estate and business journey, I am here to support you guys. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. And next month, we'll be joined by Chastity Rualis from El Paso. She's going to be talking about growing your team and agent attraction for buyer's agents and slowly growing your team, as she's got a power team in the El Paso area serving our military community. So excited to have you guys join on our next session as well. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.